1 week after WWE gives us the worst post-WrestleMania of all time, or post-WrestleMania Raw of all time, I should say, they give us the worst post-WrestleMania of all time. What's going on, guys? Good Mike Work back at you. This is your WWE Raw review for April 19th, 2021. And aside from a pretty impressive Riddle versus Randy Orton match, this was a pretty goddamn terrible Raw, I ain't gonna lie. Here's what went down. Viking Raiders defeated Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. Riddle in a big upset over Randy Orton. Lana and Naomi defeated Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Elias with a win over Kofi. Strowman and Drew went to a disqualification with the Retribution members, former Retribution members, Mace and T-Bar, ripped the jock straps off of their faces in the process. Damian Priest beat The Miz, and Asuka crucifixed up Charlotte for the win. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Appreciate it. Make sure you join us this Saturday on the channel for a new Winged Eagle podcast. Should be a lot of fun, and we'll be up for a Royal Rumble 1993 review this Sunday. And I will catch you guys then. Y'all take care. Thanks for joining. Be good. Peace. Obviously, I'm kidding. What's going on, guys? Holy shit, this Raw. I'll tell you what, man. Do we even need to do this review? This was pretty bad. I think there's a couple of really big key points here we need to talk about on the show that might actually have some valid storyline direction going forward. But for the most part, this was real bad. And this was tough to watch and tough to sit through most of the night. But it was fun going on Twitter and just watching us all have fun with the show because I don't know where they're even going. I mean, they didn't even try this week. It felt like, I know last week they had some issues, shorthanded, whatever the case may be, but it definitely wasn't your typical post-Mania Raw. And they followed it up. Just, how are they going to turn these ratings around? I just don't get it. They offered us literally nothing here that's going to make me say, ooh, can't wait to see what they do with this next week. But like I said, they're all Raws, no matter how bad they are. There's always some bright spots. And here we had a good match or two on the card. And I'm kind of liking this new Charlotte. And Alexa Bliss was creepy as hell tonight as well. We'll talk about that. But for the most part, a lot of this is just rehashed, recycled stuff. Same type of formulaic nonsense that we see every week. And that's what we got. So we'll kind of go through it here bit by bit and talk about that. Thanks to everybody that is waiting here in the chat. We probably won't make this a very long review unless, several hundred people decide to join us tonight. Then we'll extend things, talk in the chat, answer some questions, stuff like that. But otherwise, we'll kind of run through this Raw. We'll talk about any wrestling news that might be floating around out there in the universe today. And then we will probably wrap things up because I got some things to do tonight. Number one, I got to watch that Stone Cold A&E biography that I did not get a chance to watch yesterday. Going to watch that tonight, so really looking forward to that. Everybody that's given me feedback on that so far said it's awesome, and I'm excited for it. I want to check out that Treasures show as well, which looked really cool. And I guess the next one that they're going to release next week is on Piper, and I'm almost just as interested to see that one as I am going to be here for Austin's. So I'll watch that tonight, and then we do the podcast this Saturday, which will be back at its regular time, by the way. We'll talk about all of that on Saturday. And then we got a big review planned for Sunday in the afternoon prior to the Impact Rebellion pay-per-view that's got a pretty big match on it with Omega taking on Rich Swann. Mauro Ranallo is going to be calling that, and we'll be up here about an hour before that pay-per-view goes live to review the Royal Rumble 1993 Patreon-sponsored review, and we'll try to knock that out ahead of the pay-per-view just in case people do want to watch that. I'm not sure if I'm going to catch it or not, but I'm going to be interested in the outcome of this this Sunday. So I will at least, I kept that in mind for scheduling that review. So you guys can all check that out if you so choose to. But anyway, good to see Devlin Husband, who yesterday jumped out of a plane in Hawaii, went skydiving. I don't know how they found a parachute big enough to hold you, the other guy, and your balls. Unbelievable. So no, don't think I'd have the guts to do that, but pretty cool, Devlin. Hope that was a blast. Thanks for the $5. Hey, Greg, totally missed Raw, and you know what I'm thinking. I'm gonna keep that streak. Yeah, I'm envious. I kind of wish I had that ability too, because this was a show you could have completely missed. Could have completely missed last week's too, because even with their big, angles, Drew tonight was advertised to come out and have a promo, and he wants answers from MVP. But do the fans care? Do we even care if T-Bar and Mace are associated with MVP or not? We don't care. I mean, think about the post-Mania Raws we've got in the past with Brock coming back and Ziggler's winning titles and some of these crazy, amazingly fun Monday Night Raws with big surprises, returns, debuts, title changes, whatever. And last week closed with T-Bar and Mace. But I will say, like I say, I try to find the positive in everything. As ridiculous as all that shit was, and even as more ridiculous as the match later on here in the night got, I did like the ending. I did like what they did there, seemingly kind of, pulling back the masks. I even made a tweet earlier on in the night that I don't know how they can wear that shit on their face. So it looks like those might be coming off now. And they made a big deal about it. Wow, it's the first time we've ever seen their faces. One of these motherfuckers was a announcer on Raw on this very show. Well, last year. Oh, we've never seen their faces before. God. And so now they might still be going by those ridiculous names, but at least, they don't have that shit on their face. That's at least what I'm hoping. So at least there is a silver lining there into that pointless tag, is that maybe it was done as a way to, get more TV time, exposure, and give a little push to Dominic and Mace there, and also maybe change them up a bit by removing the headgear and maybe making them more of a team before they finally do their split. So we'll see. So far, I think it's probably better than what they were doing in Retribution. So I suppose that's positive. And I'm really liking this new Charlotte. Boy, she's not taking any shit from anybody. Went full postal at the end of the main event here and beat the hell out of the referee, and kind of backed off like, oh shit, ooh, okay, I see what I did, my bad, kind of backed off, almost like not being able to control herself. So she's really got this mean streak in. This is, somewhat closest thing to a reboot Charlotte's had thus far, because she's always heel or babyface. She's always been supremely competent. That's never really been an issue for her. But now when you have this attitude to her, when you have a little bit of this, like I always reference like 1997 Shawn, just walking around, not taking shit from anybody, get the fuck out of my way, except the big difference here, Charlotte isn't, on drugs and stuff. But I kind of like that attitude of, I'm the king around here, I'm the queen around here, and everybody just does what I say, stay the hell out of my way. So that's kind of like who she is now, and I kind of like it. Really cool new ring gear for her tonight too, that I thought looked really good. And, that was another, somewhat bright spot, even though, of course, she'll get title shots and win titles and fans will hate her, but I won't. Sound logical, but pretty shitty overall. Who was next? I missed you. Oh yeah, George. I was looking for you. I knew I saw you and then I lost you. Welcome back. By the way, you guys can all give me your 0 out of 10s or your A, B, C, D, or Fs, whatever you want there in the comments. Fire away on those. Let me know what you thought of this Raw. I try to be positive, but this was just a bad Raw. I struggled to watch it. I was annoyed to watch it at times. I'm like, when is it over? Verk, Adnan Verk, I think did a little bit better of a job this week. He felt more comfortable. He probably was just nervous as hell last week too. And I wasn't noticing a lot of the trip ups or mistakes tonight. They might have been there, but it wasn't as noticeable, I guess, to me as a fan as it was last week. So, give the guy some time. Maybe he'll turn out to be a fabulous WWE announcer. So far, I think Pat McAfee's got him beat, but we'll see how he goes. We'll see how he grows in that position. George, appreciate the $5. Hey, Greg, Raw 0 out of 10. For once, I might actually agree with your rating there. WWE just keeps getting worse. A new podcast with Jeff Jarrett and Conrad. Will you be listening? Probably not. I have kind of stopped listening to Conrad's podcast. He's got 75 of them. I do want to check out a little bit of Kurt Angle's. I always enjoy when I listen to 83 Weeks, whenever that is, but it's getting really hard to keep track. I haven't even listened to Something to Wrestle in probably close to 2 years now. So I'm way behind on a lot of it. Now I just kind of catch clips when I'm screwing around on YouTube or whatever. But the one that I've heard probably the best about is Angle. So I'd be interested in catching a little bit of that. But Jarrett, I don't know. There's probably some interesting Jarrett stories, but again, with all the podcasts that I could be listening to, I'm not sure how high that's going to be on my list. So we'll see. And before you know it, he's just going to have a podcast with everyone. Let me see. Sunny Man and Mike Witt, Ryan, good to see you. Young South, Thomas, good to see you back as well. Appreciate the 5 from you. WWE advertised Orton versus Strowman all week just to change it at the last second. What the hell? I know. I saw that. Strowman versus Orton was the advertisement. Then that seemed to be gone. They were advertising Charlotte and Asuka too. That didn't go anywhere. I was checking that. But I noticed Orton Strowman went away. And honestly, I hate it when they do this. And apparently the word is today that Vince was very late getting to the arena and he rewrote a bunch of shit, of course, like he tends to do. And that is always infuriating, especially to a fan, because I feel like it just puts these wrestlers into these matches for no reason, wear and tear on their bodies when it doesn't need to really be that way. If these matches just don't mean anything and shit, and that's kind of annoying. But at least this was changed for the better, because Orton and Riddle gave us a hell of a match tonight. That single-handedly might have given the show a 2 out of 10 instead of a 0 out of 10 for me, just based on the strength of that, and I thought it was really good. And they gave Orton the victory, which was cool. The only thing, they used the same finish tonight, too. Riddle pinned Orton, same way Asuka pinned Charlotte, I think with a crucifix, I believe. So I wish they kind of wouldn't have done that either. But overall, that was a bright spot, and that was a good match. but I don't know why they changed shit. At least tonight it worked out, you know? All right, what's up, Life of Brandon? Deshaun Robinson's here too. So is Ryan, Jake, Young, South, right on Crush, Rat Nick, Transferring Heat, Arthur. All right, cool. Good enough. Why don't we start rolling into these results here and get this done? If you guys would be so kind to smash the thumb upper button for me, I'd appreciate the like. It would definitely help. And unless we have some more breaking news, some more releases, you might hear from me on Wednesday. Otherwise, next time you will hear from me will be this Saturday for the podcast. Winged Eagle will be back to its regular scheduled time. We'll talk a little bit about AEW and NXT, which I've not gotten into in the past week because we took last week off. So a lot to catch up on there. We got some new champs, like a new cruiserweight champ, shit like that. We are probably going to be on the heels of having a double champion in Kenny Omega. I can't fathom a circumstance on Sunday where Rich Swann beats Kenny Omega and is a double champion over there. I can't even in a million years fathom that happening. So I believe Kenny's going to have gold all over the place. And, maybe whoever he's feuding with helps Rich Swann win the title back down the road or something like that. But feels like it's going to be Kenny there on Sunday. So there is going to be a lot to talk about when we get to the weekend for the podcast. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, you might catch me earlier if something crazy happens. But anyway, let's move into Raw here because like I said, this was all just largely nonsense. 3 hours of this crap. So we had already gotten the advertisement that McIntyre was going to be there to demand answers from MVP. Mace and T-Bar attacked him last week at the end of the main event of the show. Kind of seemingly made it look like MVP might have had something to do with that. They have cut a couple of the Hurt Business members loose, and Cedric and Shelton may be looking to replace those guys. And those guys could be good candidates. So Drew was going to come to the ring to demand answers. He does. MVP comes out, kind of declines that he had anything to do with it. By the way, Lashley was not on the show tonight, which was interesting. Say they had nothing to do with those guys coming out. And, they kind of did that all on their own. And while Drew was standing there kind of not believing this, he's then attacked from behind by T-Bar and Mace. They lay him out, and then they walk right past MVP on the ramp, adding more speculation to what's going on there. And that was that. So we go to commercial. We come back. We're backstage. I don't think they went to commercial. They went straight back to Gorilla, T-Bar, and Mason. That's where they were interviewed right there. And they offered nothing. They just started saying random words like cats and dogs and rump roast and fish sticks and ashtray and fertilizer and just all this random shit coming out of their mouth. And I think that's when we go to commercial. We come back. McIntyre's now backstage, of course. He's tracking down Adam Pearce, and he's demanding a match against both of them. Pearce says, hold your horses. You can't do that. You need to find a tag team partner. He says, no, I want him in a handicap match. And Adam Pearce, I guess, winds up agreeing to that and lets Drew face these guys 2-on-1 later on in the night. So that'll be your top of your second hour match, I believe. After that, we get another Viking Raiders match. They came back last week to very little excitement. They, much like Elias, they take all that time off, and the return did nothing to, spark any buzz. I mean, I like the Viking Raiders a lot. I think WWE's ruined them, but I still like the team. But when they came back, it was like literally, I almost forgot they were even gone. And that sucks. Elias had that same problem. He was gone for so long, and I missed his presence on the show. But then by the time he got back, by week number 2, it was right back to same old shit. Feel like the same thing here with the Viking Raiders. They're just picking up where they left off before the injury. And they did pick up the win here, which is good over Shelton and Cedric. But overall, it's like, okay, they're back, but what now? Just right back to what they're doing. And we'll see. Will they win the Raw tag titles? Probably. And then they'll drop them to somebody else. And then they might win them back. They might not. Who knows? It's a mess. So that match happened. We then get Matt Riddle bothering Randy Orton backstage. So this is where this match was set up. So I guess they scrapped Orton and Strowman. We've got Randy Orton backstage now. Riddle's getting all up his ass, talking about RK Bro, and he even starts singing Randy Orton's theme song and wanted to get Randy Orton a matching scooter so they could be RK Bros together. Hilarious. Randy Orton gets pissed, winds up wanting a match, which Adam Pearce grants. That'll be taking place in just a little bit. But first, we have to do a totally necessary segment that was very needed to get to this main event. Charlotte comes out there to cut a promo. Now, I know this is, just kind of feeding into this new attitude Charlotte, so I get that. But this whole thing was just largely kind of pointless, other than just hammering home Charlotte's new attitude, which I can get, but you could have also done that backstage. So Charlotte comes all the way out, gets in the ring, cuts this promo, talks about all the women in the locker room, how they're all, just fake, and they're like, oh, hi, but then they all stab each other in the back, and they hate each other and shit like that. And I can kind of attest to that. I've been in the restaurant business for almost 30 years. Nearly 30 years now, and I've worked with a lot of women, and it's funny, it's the same way there. They're all friends. All of them are friends, but they also hate each other, and it's pretty hilarious. So it's probably the same in the locker room there. So Charlotte kind of calls everybody out for that, which I did kind of get a kick out of. And then Asuka decides to come down to the ring to take exception to this. She's followed immediately by Rhea Ripley, who stays up on the stage. Asuka's trying to talk. Charlotte is shutting her down, telling her to shut up, stop talking. Asuka keeps trying to talk, and Charlotte keeps interrupting her. Finally, Asuka says, shut up, bitch, and I'll beat you, or whatever she says, screams at Charlotte. That was kind of funny. And that was it. And that was just like the end of the segment or whatever. So we're going to get Charlotte and Asuka in the main event, which on paper is a damn fine match. But, they I don't think they necessarily needed to do all of this to really promote that. They could have just knocked this out in a couple of backstage spots. But then again, you got 3 hours to fill, and they're clearly shorthanded when your WWE champion is not even in the premises tonight. So they did that. Next is when we got that Riddle versus Orton match, which was really good. Probably went a good 15 minutes. I didn't catch the time exactly on that, but it was enough for them to, really work hard and take some punishment in there. I liked, Riddle locking in the sleeper on Orton, and Orton was doing a good job of wrestling him. And this is a match that I think, under the right circumstances could be a pay-per-view match or a WrestleMania match or something like that. They don't even necessarily need a title. If you could just elevate Riddle a little bit more and just have, you can just have a good, solid one-on-one match with Randy Orton anywhere, even a little bit mini feud. And I like Riddle because he's really good in the ring. He's a good wrestler, and he's got all that MMA background. And I was cracking up with what he was doing with Randy Orton earlier with the RK Bro shit. And even on the way to the ring, when Randy Orton was walking to the ring, backstage, Riddle rides past him on a scooter. So there is a lot of this that I do get a kick out of, although I just kind of wish they could pull back on it a touch. I don't mind Riddle being a goof. I really don't. I just think that he needs to be a little bit less R-Truth and have a little bit more RVD in him. By the way, RVD, happy Christmas tomorrow. Same to you, Snoop. I wish he almost had a little bit of that. He's almost like too goofy. I'm cool with him being a goof, but I feel like he's got that wrestling ability and that MMA background. I feel like if he didn't have that great wrestling ability or, the legit fighting experience, this character could still easily exist completely intact. He wouldn't be as good in the ring, but he'd still have that goofy charisma. So he's got that funny charisma, and WWE, I think, needs to find a better way to combine those two with his, with his charisma and with what he can do in the ring. And like I said, they're just really weighing heavily on the comedy right now. And if they could just even it out a little bit, I do think there's room to have like a tough guy goofball. Kurt Angle is a really good example of that. In 99 and 2000, that's an example of somebody that's a complete goof, but when he got in the ring, it was on. And I think Riddle could be that, but WWE is just, they're too heavy on it. So I think you need to balance the scales a little bit with Riddle, and you got yourself a star here. But I just worry that Riddle is going to continue on this trend of where he is and not go anywhere else. When he's certainly good, certainly capable, and he's had some pretty damn good matches since coming into the company in NXT and on the main roster. He's a solid, good performer and go out there and deliver most of the time. So WWE, it's almost like they don't give a shit that the dude can fight. They don't give a shit that he can wrestle too. And they're just so focused on this, kind of stoner gimmick. And I'm just like, just balance it out, dudes. And you might have yourself something big here. But, they're still giving him wins. They gave him a big one here, virtually clean over Randy Orton, pinning him with the crucifix, which was good after, they had wrestled a pretty solid match with each other. So I thought that's cool, but all it's going to do is cause Riddle, to kind of go around, bros, you see my win. He would do that later on with New Day, where he was happy about his win against Randy Orton. But even when he loses, he's the same dude. Night after WrestleMania, when he lost the U.S. title, he's having a great old time backstage last week. I can't remember what he was doing, but he was typical Matt Riddle. Didn't seem to be too upset. Oh, that's right. He was facing Lashley. He didn't seem to be too upset that he just dropped a championship, the night before on the biggest, show of the year, one that you would think the winner's purse would be a little bit more. You'd be a little bit more bummed out than you are, So New Day's like that too. New Day dropped the belt and they didn't give a shit. So I think that if they could just balance it a little bit more, Riddle would be so much more enjoyable to watch, and maybe it would even like lighten up some of the critics that he has. Because there's a lot of people that are just adamant that he's a goofball, and anybody who thinks he's funny must be lame. I think he's funny. I'm not lame. I'm fucking awesome. So I don't think that's necessarily true either. But he can be a little bit over the top and too silly for my taste, certainly. But he's just not 100% goof and completely useless. No, there's definitely potential there for him. But I just think that WWE needs just to be a little smarter with this shit, and stop entertaining themselves and start thinking about what might actually make money. And, maybe they'll fucking get somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, backstage we go after that. Sheamus is talking to Adam Pearce. Pearce wants him to restore prestige or continue the prestige of the U.S. title or whatnot. So Sheamus is like, okay, I'm going to do an open challenge or whatever. So he'll be out later on to do that. Then we get a big tag team match with tag team champions Nia Jax taking on Lana and Naomi. There's some trouble in Nia and Shayna land because Mandy and Dana come out to the ring. This is the just most horrendously book shit. It's still all about her falling on the stage at WrestleMania. And so their music hits and they come out. They distract Nia Jax. She waddles up the ramp or whatever. And then Shayna gets stuck there alone. She gets rolled up by Naomi and pinned. And Lana and Naomi get the win there. Great. Will they win the tag team titles? I kind of hope not. I very, very, very much want Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to drop the titles, but at this point, I don't even know who the top contenders would be. Lana's worked for it. Everybody loves Naomi, but I don't know. I'm not feeling them. I want somebody else, and I want it to be good. And now they don't have the option to go to NXT anymore because they have the titles down there. They even never had a chance to even get those belts down there, which is probably why they created their own. Having those creative teams trying to work together, that ain't going to work. So anyway, we'll see what that leads to next week. Next week, we'll either get a tag team title match, which we probably will. I certainly hope they don't push this to fucking Backlash to do the title match, but they'll probably do one maybe just next week. And maybe that's where the full implosion between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler takes place. They were barking at each other backstage after the loss. And Shayna was blaming Nia, so it feels like if it happens one more time, Shayna's going to snap and beat this girl up. I hope she does. I'm ready for them to split. They're pointless together. So maybe that happens next week, or maybe they book it for the pay-per-view and it goes down there. I don't know. Honestly, don't care. After that, Miz TV with Miz and Maurice. Don't know if y'all heard, but tonight is the season premiere of Miz and Mrs. I'm sure every one of you have DVR'd that and are going to be sure to watch it. I'm going to watch it 6 times, and then I'll come up and do a review on it tomorrow, a full review, a 3-hour review on season 1. But yeah, WWE sort of let you know that the season premiere was tonight. They might have mentioned it once or twice. And Miz and Maurice are out there in the ring drinking champagne. I will say this for Miz and Maurice. I think they got better taste than Carmella. I'm really good at knowing wines and champagnes because I've been in the restaurant business so long, and I was making fun of Carmella for drinking $5 bullshit from 7-Eleven, and I think I didn't catch the label of what Miz and Maurice were drinking, but I could tell it was better. So I think that was actually really good champagne compared to the nonsense that Carmella drinks on Fox. But they're all up each other's ass, very smoochy-woochy in the ring. You're so hot, fast, sexy, and I love you, or blah, blah, blah. So we're all puking. Damian Priest then comes out. He comes down there. He's talking smack. Maurice winds up kind of half-assing, proposing a match with the Miz and Maurice on the Miz's behalf. And Priest grabs the champagne and drinks it, says it's trash, and then Miz throws the champagne in his face and then walks away, and that's it. So yeah, and so that's going to be a match later on, Miz versus Damian Priest again. And they had shit a little bit out of order here too, because they did a pre-tape, or they showed an interview of Bad Bunny from WrestleMania before he left after the match, and they played that tonight, but they should have played it last week. I don't remember them even showing him other than the highlights from his match last week, so that shit seemed out of order. But anyway, Miz and Damian Priest again tonight. Hopefully that's the end of this nonsense and Miz can go on to something else. They are releasing, I forgot when that was, I wrote it down and missed it, but they are releasing a Miz 24 doc, which I ain't gonna lie, I will watch that. I think that'll be good. We all poke fun at the Miz here, but he's got, like it or not, he's got an interesting story. I'm looking for it now. I seem to have lost it, but that should be good on the Miz. Whenever that release date is, and now I can't see it. Anyway, y'all can look it up. You guys have the internet. Otherwise, how are you watching me? So yeah, that match will be going down later on. What was up next? I lost my place. Oh yeah, Elias and Kofi 1-on-1. So That's where Riddle runs into the New Day backstage before this match, and they pitch silver dollar pancakes or something. Xavier's got this big Desperado case that apparently contains an electric guitar. So when we come back from commercial, Elias and Jackson are in the ring, and Elias is about to start playing, and then of course he's interrupted by their big bass guitar or whatever Xavier's got there. He's up on the stage jamming out with that thing, and he's getting all pissed. So anyway, they then go to the ring. We get the match, Elias and Kofi, and because I wasn't 100% paying attention, but this looked clean to me. There was no bullshit, no just too much distraction, right? Elias nailed a top rope elbow onto Kofi and beat him. So the guy who looks like Macho Man won with a top rope elbow. Very cool. And good win for Elias. Why not? Give Elias the win. Will it mean anything? No, but at least he got a win tonight, and it wasn't the same old nonsense. After that, we got Alexa Bliss Playground. She's back there swinging on the swing, and she talked about all the little girls on the Raw roster. She says Lily, her new friend Lily, who she introduced last week, that whacked out voodoo doll looking thing, is sitting there with her, and she says all the girls on the roster, Lily didn't like him, and she doesn't like any of you. So she's now finally targeting, maybe making mention that she's actually going to be getting in the ring, wrestling, targeting some female performers. That could be good because she's doing a great job with this gimmick. And I'd honestly put the belt on her. I mean, everybody fucking hates Charlotte, right? I don't want Charlotte, man. So why not Alexa Bliss? Why not? You bring that Lily shit out and freak out Rhea Ripley? Although Ripley could probably handle it. So could Asuka. Charlotte might fall victim to something like this, though. Asuka's probably like, bring it. I'm from Japan. And then Rhea is just a badass in general, so they might not even sweat that stuff. But she was rocking on the thing, and I guess they've got all these like Photoshop photos of Alexa Bliss when she was a kid with this doll, which is pretty funny. So this is all pretty interesting, and I guess she's abandoned the Fiend. I don't know when we're going to see him next, and I don't know really what's next for her. I wasn't 100% paying attention to any of this. She was just rocking there talking gibberish. So I don't know where exactly she's going with it. Maybe you guys know better than me, but I like that she's got this whack-ass little doll. And if she's going to start bringing this thing to the ring or whatever, or messing with the roster, maybe some of these women start finding this thing in their luggage or something. They freak out, or maybe it's a voodoo doll. I don't know. But just kudos to Alexa Bliss for being someone who I always incorrectly thought was one-dimensional. She's not. Very good, very capable performer, and she is knocking it out of the park with this goofy-ass gimmick that they've given her. She's making the best out of it. Don't know if anybody could be pulling this off, and she wouldn't have been the person I would have even thought of to do something like this. Of all the women there, I would have picked a Rhea Ripley or a Nikki Cross. I wouldn't even thought of Alexa. She wouldn't even occur to me. And, that's why you got to always think about all your options, because turns out she's probably the best one that they could have picked to do this. So we'll keep our eye on that. That's good stuff. Backstage, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are bitching at each other about the loss earlier on. And Shayna says, you better not fuck up again or else. And then Nia says, or else what? What you think, Nia? Get your butt kicked. After that, we get the handicap match. Our nice, fun, deliciously formulaic handicap match. Big surprise here. Big shock the way things went. Drew McIntyre taking on Mace and T-Bar in a 2-on-1 handicap match. MVP is in the back watching on the monitor. We go just do a DQ when I think Mace and T-Bar just got a little bit ahead of themselves. They get disqualified. They continue the attack on Drew McIntyre, and then Braun Strowman runs out there to make the save. We then go to commercial, so you know what that means. When we come back from the commercial, we're going to get a tag match, and of course, that's exactly what we got. We come back, tag match in progress. Braun's got a little cut on his head. Not sure how he caught that. But they wound up getting DQ'd. T-Bar and Mace picked up the victory here by disqualification. And I think when Drew McIntyre ripped off the mask of Mace, he got Mace's mask off. Strowman takes care of T-Bar, rips his mask off, and then they kind of spill to the outside and they're retreating up the ramp. And Corey Graves goes, this is the first time we've ever seen their faces. One of these dudes was the damn announcer on Raw. Got beat up by Brock Lesnar. Remember that whole deal? And I understand that maybe NXT and the main roster are different universes, so you can pretend like we've never seen Dominik Dijakovic before, just like we can pretend that Reckoning is not Mia Yim. But Jesus, man, at least say, especially Corey, who's got an NXT background and is supposed to be familiar with all things wrestling, supposed to be smart, right? He should have at least said, that's Dominik Dijakovic. Holy shit, I didn't know that. I didn't recognize him under that jock strap he had strapped around his skull. But he didn't. He's acting like, oh my God, it's the first time I've ever seen him. So, Jesus, God knows. So I don't know. I don't know why WWE finds this compelling storytelling at all. I think it's good for Dio Madden and Dominic because this is good for them to lose that shit. They can keep, if they want to keep the names, that's fine. But I've always rejected that headgear. I kind of feel like it's gone now. I feel like they ripped that off as a symbolic way of ditching it. Now, if they bring it back next week, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to make of it. But I think it's going to be gone now, which it should be. Probably easier for those guys to wrestle. And I always liked Dominic Dijakovic just fine. We put over all of his matches in NXT. Whenever we reviewed a takeover or wherever he wrestled on, he's a really good quality performer. Just really, really dumb gimmick right now. So maybe this can be his way out of it. And maybe these two can form, a pretty strong duo. WWE's not going to be able to resist breaking them up for very long. So if you can kind of give them a good long run here, put the tag belts on them at some point. They're around the waists of AJ and Omos, who are now 2 weeks absent on Raw. So when they come back, I can't see Mace and T-Bar being the ones to beat them. If they drop the belts, then I can see Mace and T-Bar maybe beating a babyface team or something. But, do that in the future and give them, give them some momentum. Who knows, what can happen. But I think at least that's a start, getting rid of the masks or whatever. And we'll see. It's not over. Drew is still pissed off at these guys. And I don't know where Strowman fits in. When Strowman came out to make the save earlier, I thought that would have been a good opportunity for him to turn. Because he came in the ring and kind of chased him off first. I think they kind of, I don't think he got physical with him actually when he made the run in. So when he got in there and slid in the ring and they retreated and he's in there alone with Drew, I thought he was going to turn around and nail McIntyre and then maybe join up. Why not? AEW's creating factions every other 5 minutes. Why not WWE? And then Braun can now he can be the new mentor to these guys. Might be better than Ali, even though I like Ali better as a performer than Braun. Braun's former champion. Braun's the one that WWE's pushed and given main events to and given victories over Goldberg and shit. So he can be the new leader of these guys. He can sort of guide them. And they got one hell of a looking team there. Talk about the Hurt Business. So that didn't happen, though. He stayed with McIntyre, and that was that. No sign of Shane tonight as well. So I don't know if that Braun Strowman Shane shit's going to continue. I guess not. But we'll see. All that happened. In the end, it didn't mean much. After that was when we got the Damian Priest and Miz match. Damian Priest won with the Reckoning, and Miz did not have a good night on his premiere night. Sad for him. We get that Sheamus Open Challenge up next. He basically invites anybody to come down to the ring. Humberto Carrillo decides to take him up on it, but never even gets a chance to wrestle because Sheamus just beats the shit out of him on the outside of the ring, just viciously attacks Humberto, and basically says that's what anybody who answers my challenge has in store. So basically, Sheamus's open challenge, I guess, means come down to the ring and see if you can even get this match to start, because I'm going to beat you up before you get here. So whoever takes him up on this challenge is going to have to do one of those run-ins from behind and attack him from behind and do that. Otherwise, he's going to just not even allow you to get that far. So not exactly what John Cena did, is it? And then after that, we get our main event. Asuka taking on Charlotte one-on-one. Like I said, Charlotte sporting some new gear tonight. Thought it looked really good. I do like her new attitude because I like when you combine a little bit of attitude with the confidence that she already had, but it's not generic confidence. It's not that, that just same old shit every week type of confidence. She now has got an attitude on her, and she's not afraid to say stuff on the mic, and she's pretty aggressive now. So I kind of like this because, nobody wants to be the same character the whole time, right? And that's one of the problems with Charlotte, is that she is different from there are differences in her heel and babyface personas, but not much, at the end of the day. So, this kind of helps set her apart a little bit more, and I like her like this. Ripley comes out during the introductions to watch, so she hangs out there at ringside, and she's very instrumental in the finish. I kind of thought maybe, since we got Ripley and Charlotte basically pretty hardcore heels right now, I kind of thought we were going to see a deal where Ripley gets in the ring and Charlotte and Ripley start beating down Asuka together and then maybe Io Shirai comes out and makes the save. That might have been a good thing to do last week. But instead, Charlotte locks the figure 8 on Asuka. But when she does that bridge, when she bridges up her arms, you know, Rhea's really close to Charlotte there, and she just pulls her arms out from underneath her. Charlotte falls flat on her back, allows Asuka to recover and roll up Charlotte in a crucifix and get the win. So I kind of think they should have done something else other than the crucifix, since Riddle and Orton just did it an hour before. But Asuka did get the victory there over Charlotte. Charlotte is pissed, thought it was bullshit because it was. She had the match won. Rhea interfered, so now she's mad at Rhea, but she's even more mad at the referee and decides just to beat the holy hell out of him. She beats the crap out of the poor referee. Tons of officials run out there to try to back her off. She does seem aware that she might have effed up here a little bit, and she kind of is like, oh, whoops, or whatever, but couldn't control herself and just went nuts there. So we'll see what they finally make. I guess next week they'll probably start making some backlash matches, right? And we'll get some ideas what they're going to do. I'm thinking maybe McIntyre gets another shot at Lashley again, and unless they've already announced that, and then something here will go on. It might be just a triple threat, which I wouldn't doubt if they just did that. So anyway, that was kind of your Raw in a nutshell there. Not a ton of stuff going on. Just, the main event, the new attitude, Charlotte, Riddle, pretty big win over Randy Orton, and T-Bar and Mace have been unmasked, hopefully permanently, and they will not continue to wear that shit on their face, and they can start wrestling like normal people again. That would be nice. But all in all, I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about this Raw. I mean, Jesus, man, they got to get their act together here. We'll see what kind of rating Dynamite does on Wednesday, but last week they did a bit of 1.2. What do you think Raw's going to do tonight? Another 1.7? 1.8? They could randomly break 2 million for some reason. If people actually wanted to stay tuned to this, I suppose they could. But I think that would be a random number. If they're back in that 1.7 range, and you got another in the other wrestling companies on a 1.2, one with a 30-year head start on Mondays, compared to 1 year on Wednesdays, they need to start just getting their shit together, man, because this is just not well thought out. They get a little bit of a pass, and some excuses can be made due to COVID, which I think played a role in some of the shorthandedness that was going on last weekend, this week. So that all happens, but at the same time, it feels like from a creative standpoint, they're not trying, and I feel like they're wasting the best years of some of their performers' lives by just spinning their wheels and not knowing what they're doing. Instead of saying, oh, we got somebody that, that got a potential there. Let's try something. Instead, they just same shit week in, week out. Here we are 1 week removed from WrestleMania, and it's, ain't looking good. So we'll see. But brighter days are ahead. Should be a good summer. Apparently they are going to have fans at SummerSlam this year, so that's promising. No word on a venue, I don't think yet, but that will be nice to see that. Not sure if they'll stay outdoors or if they'll go large and just, spaced out, whatever the deal is by that point. We'll see what they choose to do, but that will likely be the next time we get fans. And then hopefully after that, it will be a somewhat regular occurrence. But we got to weather the storm for probably a few more months here, and a lot more just kind of flat Thunderdome shows, I feel like. I think the pay-per-views always have potential, Thunderdome or not, to come through. The TV always can suck hard. So, and most of the time it does. But we'll see. Let me knock out a couple more chats that I know were flying in. I'd appreciate some thumbs up buttons, by the way. I'll go over here and answer the super chats that were rolling in while I was talking. Let's go all the way back to Kevin Hefner. Appreciate the $2 from you. AJ, Wyatt, and Bobby were missing tonight. 3 key names. Yeah, I know. I just mentioned that. So was Omos. And The Fiend, I feel like they might be holding off anyway. I feel like the other names, though, would be there if they could. Something's holding that back. It's either the COVID stuff. I haven't read up on what these situations are, but something's going on there that's causing them to be shorthanded. Hey, what's up, K-Dogs Kennel? Kevin has got the Patreon review coming up this Sunday. He'll be the one sponsoring that. I know I owe a lot of hellos because I stopped doing those earlier, but good to see you, K-Dog. Mr. Lonely's here, and Zane G. And Melissa, I forgot about you too. Michael Kumo as well. Joey's Adventures, thanks for the 5. Orton put focus on Bray 2 times tonight in a promo. Makes me think there's another match coming even more now. Oh, of course there is. There definitely is between those two. How Alexa ties into this, I don't know if she does at all. Maybe not anymore, but Yeah, they're keeping that going clearly. Good to see a back match or backman. Appreciate that. Yeah, no Zane, no Funhouse promo tonight, Zane. But we did get one last week. But yeah, I didn't see Wyatt tonight. Oh, cool. You mean last night, K-Dogs? Yeah, we did the Backlash 2000 watch-along last night. It was a lot of fun. Now, Sunday is a review, not a watch-along this Sunday. But last night was real fun with the Backlash 2000 watch-along, man. Austin and coming back and helping out The Rock to beat Triple H. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Hell of a match between Dean Malenko and Scotty 2 Hotty on that show that I'd completely forgotten about. That was really good. Couple of surprisingly good matches on that show. Benoit and Jericho was on that as well. Thank you, Zane. Miz 24 is on April 25th, so that's coming up in a week. So this weekend, I guess that'll be Sunday, right? Cool. I'll definitely watch that. That should be good. There's a lot of good stuff between all of these A&E documentaries we're getting. WWE Network is releasing shit all the time that's great, and we got Dark Side of the Ring coming up. There's going to be just an endless supply of really awesome shit to watch. And it's going to be great. I hope I can keep up with it. Like I said, I'm catching the Austin A&E one tonight. And I hear great things about it. A-Level, thanks for the $5. What's up, Greg? Hope all is well. Stay safe and healthy. Love the channel. Keep up the great work. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know they got a lot of COVID issues right now. Oh, nice. Good to hear. Good to hear that, Keith. Can't wait. Or Kevin, I'm sorry. What's up, Charlie? And Mike. Yeah, I was talking about Keith Lee earlier today, actually. I'm like, I don't know the circumstances with him. It feels like he's not cleared or something, but if he is cleared and WWE is electing just to not do anything with him when they're shorthanded, I hope there's a reason why he's not there. Either he's not cleared or there's a COVID issue with him or there's some other unforeseen circumstance. Hope he's okay, whatever that is. But he does send out some cryptic tweets from time to time. Does seem to be just a touch frustrated, I think, and might be wondering when it's his time as well. Or maybe he's having some issues without not being able to be cleared. There have been a couple of reports and rumors here or there about that, but I don't know any specifics. But if he's available and cleared and they're not bringing him out there, they are fools. This guy was over like Rover in NXT. Next thing you know, look at him. Invisible. Yeah, that top rope DDT was awesome last night. Oh, Fiend and Randy Orton versus Bliss and Lily at SummerSlam. No doubt. That would be interesting. That should be interesting. Raw was a 10 out of 10. Nice. All right, you're giving a really good rating. Yeah, I'm hoping that the same thing happens with Mia Yim, that she takes her shit off or whatever, and she goes back to being just Mia Yim. And I don't know what Bisquick's going to do. No idea. Send him over to SmackDown. Oh, that would be great. Maybe Keith Lee's growing his hair out. I would love that. Yeah, Mike, Keith Lee would have been he would have been a great guy to come out and challenge Sheamus. Although Sheamus just won that title, and if they did bring Keith Lee out tonight, what would happen? We'd get some bullshit finish because we wouldn't get a clean finish. They're not going to bring him out, hopefully, and then beat Keith Lee. But they ain't taking the belt off Sheamus either, which means we're going to have to get some DQ or some wanky finish or something like that. That'll just be, pointless. But in the end, it probably wouldn't mean anything for Keith Lee because, it's Sheamus's time with the title right now. So maybe if they hold Keith Lee off for another 2 months and then bring him out here in one of these open challenges, like maybe Sheamus actually is successful in a lot of these for maybe 6-8 weeks. I know that's a long time in WWE lifespan, but if they can actually have him come out there and talk shit and beat up somebody every week, and then eventually you get to the point where he comes out there again and he's gloating, he knows whatever schmucks comes out, he's going to have his way with, and then it turns out to be Keith Lee, and he surprises him. Honky Tonk Man, Ultimate Warrior, SummerSlam 88 style, and comes out, squashes Sheamus, wins a U.S. title. That would be cool. That could be a moment. Hell, you could even do that at SummerSlam if you wanted. But that means it would be that many months without Keith Lee, and I don't want that either. Yeah, jury's out on Alexa Bliss's gimmick. We will see, but she's doing a good job with it. Regardless of whether or not it's a success or not, it ain't going to be because of a lack of effort from her. She's put everything into it. She's going all out on this. So it's going to be on WWE's lack of direction. Certainly not by, she's just not pulling it off. She's pulling it off. It just depends on how WWE can go forward with it from a creative standpoint. And if they can continue to come up with, decent or entertaining or funny ideas or creepy ideas, and that it appears to be now, and it's more dimensions. I mean, they're adding things. Now you're starting to go off in different directions. Now you've split these two, and they're forming their own branches on this tree of crazy. And now Alexa is introducing a new puppet or a new prop or character or whatever that could spawn a whole nother, sequence of events. So we'll see. You never know. It might be something they're trying to get over. They want to get that creepy doll's face on a T-shirt and sell 10 million of those things. Might be what they're trying to do here too. But we'll see. I mean, in terms of it getting old, it's not like, it's always just weird as shit. It's like it's almost like a riddle promo. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. So I guess that's the novelty itself that gets old, but she's certainly saying different things every week, and a lot of rambling and a lot of speculation as to what some of it means. Oh, John Cena 24 or Broken Skull. Either one. Man, that would be fun to see him on Broken Skull. I might say Broken Skull only because we've got so many produced pieces on John Cena and how busy he is and the things he does. We've seen that. We haven't really truly gotten him down just chilling with a beer talking for 2 hours. So I'd probably say Broken Skull, but I would like to see a 24. But I think we've gotten a lot of that stuff on Cena already. We've had DVDs done on him, shit like that. So, hell, they made a whole mini movie out of The Rock and John Cena at WrestleMania 28. Remember the hype packages for that? My God, they were so long, like 10 minutes each. Ridiculous. Thank you for the $2, Joshua. Glad you were able to catch us at the end here. Just got out of work. Glad to hear that, man. Enjoy your night now. You are free. Thank you, Charlie. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Trey Williams, what do you guys think about Finn Balor on the main roster? Kind of thought we might see him turn up last week on one of the post-Mania shows, but he didn't. The Rock on Broken Skull would be definitely cool, too. I don't know, would The Rock even do that? He would. I think The Rock's got some sort of presence in Austin's documentary that I'm going to watch tonight, correct? Credits Austin a lot. No, Joey's. I plan on catching that tonight. $9,000 for the original Mr. Sacco. If there's one thing I would want to do, like one thing in WWE, it would be to go to that warehouse. I could be in there. I would recognize so much shit. You guys would have no idea. Especially like 80s stuff and everything that they have in there. And there was one picture I saw, I think Sam Roberts had posted from being in there, and he's standing next to this just gigantic, just huge rack of shelves of just caskets stacked on top of each other. The big old boxed wooden ones they used to use for Yokozuna and stuff, plus all the other ones they used. I saw a couple of gold ones out there. I remember when they had the gold caskets for the for Gold Dust, and looked like the one they locked the Ultimate Warrior in was up there and all that stuff. So very cool. I would love to just walk around there and look around. If you can purchase tours for that, I would like to purchase one. I would definitely go on that if I can find my way in. Maybe I need to send an email to somebody. But that would be a fun thing to do, and I guess we're going to get a look at a lot of that stuff on the Treasure Show. Lashley would be a good one on Broken Skull for sure. I'd be into that. There's a lot about him that I'm unaware of. I don't know. I don't know, Jose, if I see Riddle as a tag team champion soon. I don't know who he'd team with other than RVD. He feels like a singles at the moment. I don't really want to see him team up with anybody. I can't think of anyone that would really fit with him unless they did a deal, like similar to what they did with the Bar a couple of years ago, but maybe if they found somebody that's completely different with him than him, like, you know, like the equivalent of a Lance Storm, that would be perfect, you know, and you put them together and you basically form Head Cheese again, you know, maybe if they did something like that, but again, you're going right back to comedy, you know, if you try to do something like that. So, I don't know who his partner could be, and WWE tends to want to lean in the comedy direction. So I think they would put someone with him that is completely different from him, that would just add to conflict and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd like to go. Yeah, put on the Flair's robes. Apparently, they're looking for that black and white one. I know Kane and Undertaker are treasure hunting through something, but you know, I remember a couple of, they used to do some warehouse videos on YouTube, like way back in the day, like maybe 2012, 2013, whenever that was. Around the same time, they would do the Josh Matthews and Road Dogg thing. I forgot what it was called, where they'd shit on WCW and stuff. Oh, Are You Serious? It was like that. And I remember watching one of those, and they had like the original ring from WrestleMania 1, like the ring ropes, everything still sitting right there, perfectly square and intact. The ring wasn't set up, but all the parts were there. And they're like, this is the ring from WrestleMania 1. I'm like, that is crazy. That is fucking crazy. That's sitting there in that warehouse. My God, I want to touch it. I want to cut a piece of it off and take it home. Any of those 80s or I'm sorry, Attitude Era or 90s stars would be great on Broken Skull, especially if it's somebody that Austin has history with, like a Rock, like a Mick Foley. Foley would be great. Shawn would be great. Triple H would be great. So those are all good possibilities. We've already got Brett. We've got Orton. We've got Angle, Taker. We got Kane on it too, right? I kind of want them to turn Drew McIntyre heel. I think I just prefer that at this point. I almost think they're gearing him up to win the belt back, though, from Lashley. I don't know. But I kind of agree. You know, like how, you know, the equivalent to what Charlotte did, maybe, but on a babyface level. You know, Charlotte just now added that extra, you know, little dimension to her, you know, that more killer instinct, that more like, you don't want to mess with me type of thing. And Drew has that too, just like Charlotte. He's not lacking confidence. It's not that. But he can be intense, you know, I'll sacrifice anything and all that stuff, you know, but I see what you're saying. I just wish there was something there that would just be a spark that would just really draw me to him. You know, Roman found that, you know, if Drew can find that, it's harder to find it, though, on a babyface level. It's a little bit easier as a heel. So I kind of want him to turn. I proposed a double turn at WrestleMania when I was doing my predictions. Didn't happen, but thought it could have. Think Punk would ever go on Broken Skull? That might be a no. From Vince was nice enough to let Jericho on, but I don't think he would do the same for CM Punk. There's a lot of talk, too, of Vince. That might have been a mistake. Could be completely unrelated or not, because otherwise, you know, Jericho just went on WWE Network and did a 2-hour-long AEW commercial. Now, they did spend a lot of time talking about Jericho's WWE run, but every time they brought up AEW, it was spoke of very positively, and he talked about what a great place it is, blah, blah, blah. Then you turn around 3 days later, and AEW does their highest rating of all time of 1.2. So it's like, oh, whoops. I don't know if they would have. And there was even speculation that maybe if they would have known what that rating was going to be, they might not have cut Samoa Joe. Let him go over there or whatever. So this week will be interesting with AEW to see kind of what they do. If they hold that rating, feels like it's got to dip. It's got to, you know, a little bit. But how much does it? You know, if it just dips to a 1.1 or a 1.0 or a million rating or whatever, but if it's 900 or below, then, you know, that's quite the dip. We'll see. But a lot of that might have been done because of Jericho going on there. Who knows? So maybe Vince regrets it, but who cares? Because we got it already and he can't take it back now. But Punk might be someone that would be a no from him. A rumor Dean Ambrose return to WWE. I fully believe Ambrose will be back in WWE one day. I don't think he's quite over it, though. I mean, he was there. He did not enjoy his time there. I think he will be back. I think there will be a time when we see Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose in the ring again together, 100%. But I still think that's a ways off. I don't know, though. I haven't listened or, you know, kind of kept up with any rumors or bullshit in the last couple of days. But I fully believe he'll go back. He just kind of feels like he has to. Everybody kind of gets over their disgruntled shit. And by then, you know, he might be a little bit more in a driver's seat to say, all right, I'll come back, but no more jerking me around. Like, I want an out clause, you know, or whatever. Or maybe they'll promise him a little bit more. Hey, this time, you know, it'll all be good or whatever. So I think that time comes for everybody, and he's young enough to where I think he can have a good 5 years outside the company and still come back. So I think he will be back, but I don't think it's soon. I'd keep him away for 3 years minimum out of WWE if you asked me, but who knows? Of all the people that got released, Joe, I think, is the one that should go over there. Everybody else, they could probably live without for the most part. Although, maybe, I could see Peyton turning up there. Maybe Tony Khan sounds like a nice guy. He might just say, all right, well, hire your girlfriend. And Peyton improved a lot, in WWE. But they might bring one or two on. But of all those, and I think Kalisto's another guy. He'll probably find international work or whatever, but he'd be great in there too, mixing it up with Phoenix and Pac and all those guys. Otherwise, though, Joe, to me, of all of the ones released, he's kind of the number one. I don't think they need to really sign much else other than him. He's going to be a big pickup. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Zelina turns up. I mean, we all know how it ended for her in WWE, so if they want to find a place for her there, they can. Oh yeah, what's her name? That reminds me, we got a big debut on Wednesday, or I'm sorry, on Tuesday, tomorrow. I keep forgetting NXT is tomorrow now. Saray, what is her name? I forgot what her name is already. Yeah, the Hawkins and Ryder were in the big chunk that got released last year, and that was a bummer, man. They should have kept them on, especially as a tag team in a division that sorely needs it. Riddle being traded to SmackDown. Was Riddle originally on SmackDown, or am I imagining that? He could go after Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. He could. I don't know if they would just do that, though. I think he can do meaningful things that's not contending for titles. I mean, he did tonight. He faced Randy Orton and beat him, but we'll see what they do with Riddle from here because he kind of seems directionless. I feel like Orton will get that win back. I feel like next week we'll get a rematch. Or we could have The Fiend show up and cost Randy Orton and Riddle beats him twice, and then Riddle will be really stoked. But I feel like if you beat Orton like that, Orton's got to get that win back. He'll RKO Riddle at some point and beat him, I would think. No, I've not watched the trailer for Fast and Furious. I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie. They're not my thing. Oh yeah, we got Frankie Monet. She already made her debut last week in the promo. She might be getting in the ring this week. I'm not sure. Thanks for that, Jermaine. Well, I'll go over there to the UK and do what we can. I'm glad that you consider me and Jason worthy of being knighted by the Queen. I'd be down to go over there, go to a pub, catch an indie wrestling show or something. Hell yeah. Send me the details. Let me know when you clear it with her, and I'll book the plane ticket. I'm on my way. Yeah, no draft this year. We don't need a draft this year because we already got one like at the end of last year. They've done trades and stuff, and I don't think it's been enough time. I think the roster should simmer for a bit before you start trading shit up. It's already meaningless as it is, but when you do it so often, and I think that's WWE's problem too. A lot of times they feel if they're in a slump that just doing a draft changes things. I'm like, the talent isn't the problem. Which talent is on which show has nothing to do with the quality of the shows. You guys can make the shit good if you wanted to. And they just don't. So they just try to shuffle stuff around to kind of give the fans a sense of freshness when they can make shit fresh themselves if they, if they just applied themselves a little bit with some better, storytelling and booking and just not the same old nonsense. But it sounds like it's a complete, total, utter clusterfuck there when it comes to writing TV. And, Do you think the writing team's heart is even in it when they got to deal with Vince and stuff? They're like, let's just write what makes them the fuck happy and go home so we can eat and go to sleep, is probably the attitude, I would think, like just get this over with. My God, what does the old man want? He wants DQ, fine, DQ, who cares? Can we go home? I feel like that's the way it's got to be, because that's the product that's being reflected on TV is that type of attitude. You can tell. So, I mean, I can't see everybody just being like geared up. I can't wait to get to work today and just start spitballing ideas with my writing team and come up with great, compelling, fun, new, wonderful storylines that the fans are going to enjoy, be invested in, tune in to watch and want more and all this. Nobody's seen, I don't feel that excitement at all. I don't think it exists backstage. I don't think anybody is, really excited to sit down and write something that is going to change the wrestling world, because no, they just... let's just do what we did last week. Just change up the players. Yeah, let's do that same match with that same finish, but let's just change the combatants. It's literally what they do. And it's just, they probably have a whole handbook. This shit's probably all listed out, in different match scenarios and numbered. Let's just go with option 117A on this one for Riddle and Orton or whatever. So it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs, man. Fast and Furious are awful films. No, don't say that. The one thing I do like about the Fast and the Furious movies, even though I've never seen them, is I appreciate how incredibly realistic they are, because I like my movies to make sense, and apparently all of them do. Off Leather Wings, appreciate the $2. Just tuning in. Did you hear MLW will be on Vice? That's good. That's a huge pickup for them. That's great. Vice likes them some wrestling, don't they? Good for MLW. I'm happy. We need that, man. We need more TV. We need more exposure for wrestling companies. Impact, NWA, AEW, MLW. Nice. Right on. Did not know that. Yeah, we had no Morrison tonight, did we? I don't recall seeing him. I don't know if he's going to turn on The Miz. I think it's going to be the other way around. I think Miz is going to attack him, and Morrison will be babyface. Or Morrison could go full Alex Riley on The Miz. That could happen, because Morrison is a fucking goof. When we were talking earlier about potential tag team partners for Riddle, that might be one. Morrison and Riddle, they would be ridiculous together. But then you just be plugging Morrison in from one goofy ass team to another. That doesn't do anything for him. So if you had him go full Alex Riley and maybe shed the goofiness a little bit, do the thing where he kind of takes off the glasses, and undoes his jewelry and then just beats the shit out of The Miz. You think I'm a joke? That sort of thing. And then just kind of gives his character a little bit more of an edge. And now he's maybe reborn and can have some quality matches. But if you do that, now he's on his own as a babyface. What's it going to mean in the long run? Probably not a whole lot of anything. It's just going to mean that he's now on TV wrestling in matches that more times than not he's going to lose, just as a babyface instead of a heel. So I don't know what it would really mean for him unless they gave him a legit run at a championship, which I wouldn't exactly hate. Morrison is talented as hell, and he can be entertaining. So we'll see what direction they go there. But I think when it's over, when the split happens, he's got to be face in that. Oh, Jinder Mahal won the title 4 years ago. That's right, he did. It was at a Backlash, wasn't it? I remember that. So 2017 was 4 years ago. Holy shit. I remember doing that review. I actually remember sitting in front of the microphone doing that. That's funny. I was like, they did it. We thought so too. We were like, I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to put the belt on Jinder, and they did. Yeah, Cesaro going after the IC title on SmackDown would be cool. They kind of threw us a little curveball on Friday. He came out to interrupt Roman Reigns, which was kind of cool, because they were all thinking, oh, sweet, Roman is going to wrestle on SmackDown and wrestle Cesaro, but then he balked to Jey Uso. But I'm like, oh, that's still okay, because if Roman isn't going to do it here, that means he might be doing it at a pay-per-view, like Backlash, might be Roman and Cesaro. But we also said during WrestleMania time that regardless of the outcome of who wins between Seth and Cesaro at WrestleMania, there's going to be another match there. And that's what it pretty much set up on Friday, was for Seth and Cesaro to do another match. So I'm kind of holding out hope, since they did plant the seed for Cesaro and Roman, and since Cesaro is a former Paul Heyman guy, it would be cool if they could get Cesaro and Seth's rematch out of the way on TV and allow Cesaro to face Roman Reigns at Backlash, because Roman needs an opponent. I still think when Bryan and Edge return back to TV, they're going to kind of have an issue with each other. So Roman needs an opponent. I had suggested Big E, but Cesaro's the one that came out on Friday and got in his face. So I think that would be great. And it's going to be a match, hate to say it, that Cesaro is going to lose, but it's still a championship match in the main event of a pay-per-view. I don't think Cesaro's ever had that. So I think Roman needs some good quality, strong opponents to beat on his route to SummerSlam, where he's got a big money match with someone. Lashley, Drew, Brock, someone like that is who he's going to be facing. Maybe even John Cena. I don't know. But he's going to have a big opponent. He's going to have a marquee opponent, I think, at SummerSlam. Roman Reigns will. There's just too many good options there. So in between now and then, I think he's got to, stack up some more victories. He pinned Daniel Bryan and Edge on top of each other at WrestleMania. He ain't just going to drop the belt to Cesaro now. As much as we love Cesaro, and there wouldn't be a single person in the chat that would complain about the WWE title being around his waist. But it's all about the timing too, and this wouldn't be it. So I can find the good. Not everybody can be WWE champion. At least with Cesaro, they're taking him seriously and giving him title shots. So if he does wind up getting some sort of a match with Roman at Backlash, there is good in that. When he loses, he's not going to be buried. This is an opportunity that he wasn't getting before, so he's getting up there now, and, maybe it takes some work, but I'd be into that. But I also think, they could do another Seth and Cesaro match, and I fully expect Seth to get a win in this feud. Cesaro's not going to win them all. So whenever they face each other next, I think Seth wins that. And now you also got Seth and Roman kind of having an issue with the same guy here. You have to wonder if the two of them maybe randomly team up in a tag match or something on TV, and you put 2/3 of the Shield back together with all their history and all their past, and you put them together in a tag against Cesaro and whoever the fuck, Daniel Bryan and Edge maybe, or something like that. Or no, maybe you do, I guess you do Jey Uso, Roman. That's what you do. You do Jey, Roman, and you do Jey and Roman, and who am I trying to say here? I lost my train of thought. But you do Jey and Roman against Daniel Bryan and Edge. Yeah, that's what you do. And Cesaro. Fuck yeah. That's what you do. And you do the 6-man on TV. Let's hope for that at least. If you can get the Shield back together with Jey, and then you take on all three of them, Daniel Bryan and Edge can have their issue in the match and implode. You kind of isolate Cesaro and maybe Roman in the ring alone. You do some big spot. But just to have all them together would be pretty awesome to see Roman and Seth back teamed up again. Be a good showcase for Cesaro to be in there, Cesaro and Uso, to be in there with 4, main event guys like that. Maybe one of them can come out with a victory at the end of it. So that would be good. Maybe we can get that on Friday Night SmackDown, some big 6-man there. That might be nice. But when I did see, Seth come out at the end of that match, I was like, kind of Seth and Roman are a little bit closely linked here. And, and they're both heels now. You think that they might have a meeting of the minds at some point backstage, or maybe Paul Heyman approaches Seth Rollins about an opportunity or a business arrangement or proposal. Come with me. The tribal chief would like to speak to you, or whatever, and he goes and he's summoned, and Roman's like, why don't we put the band back together for one night and dispose of these assholes or whatever, they could do something like that. Jey will be with us. We'll go out there and, he'll be Ambrose, tonight, and we'll take care of these guys. Who knows? Could be something like that. Yes, thank you for that, Comedic Gene. I was like, what is the dude with the... I'm thinking of the guy in the suit. I'm like, what is the guy in the suit's name? Can't remember his name. Completely blanked. I was trying to figure out a way to how to put that match together at some point, and I could think they could do that. That would be at least an interesting main event and something different on SmackDown that we would see, and it would be interesting with Roman and Seth's history. Yeah, I think that's part of the story, though, Kevin. I do see what you're saying. It gets old. Your problem with the Roman angle is the same every week. Jey fights his challenger, loses, then the following week tries to explain himself. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing WWE, I think, is overdoing a bit, is that we get it. He abuses Jey, and, Jey always has to prove himself to the tribal chief, and he's ahead of the table and all that. We get it. But I also think that's partially done by design as well, because Roman is a heel, and shit like this is supposed to get on the fans' nerves. They want him to keep doing the same thing. God damn, he never does anything else. I mean, Roman, help me out here. Help me, all the people that know this stuff. He hasn't wrestled much on SmackDown, right? Since coming back at SummerSlam. I think he's had a tag match or two, maybe, where he kind of got involved, but he hasn't had anything one-on-one, I don't think. And all of his matches, he's been a little bit more Brock Lesnar-like, where he's on TV more weeks than Brock, but he's wrestling, only on pay-per-views and stuff, a little more similar to what Brock did, saving himself for the big, for the big events because he's the tribal chief. He shouldn't have to get his hands dirty on TV. He's the main event or whatever. So I kind of like that. And I like that he's not getting in the ring and Jay is having to do his dirty work. So there is an element to that I don't hate. But I do see how it can probably get old for some fans. But Christmas Day, only Christmas Day. Thank you for that. I knew I could envision him in the ring at one point, but like once or twice only is all I could think of. Yeah, that would be a good way to end that too. Just have the heels beat Cesaro down if Edge and Bryan go off and fight on their own, and that could be a good way to set up Cesaro to get that match. To come out the following week and demand some retribution there. I could see that happening. Do I think Jay will ever turn on Roman? I don't know. They already did the matches between them, If Jay ever turns on him, it might be when Jimmy comes back and pulls Jay away and, maybe they reform. I don't know what's keeping Jimmy out at this point. Jay's doing really, really well on his own. I love the Usos. I'd love to see him come back and win the tag titles, but I also really like Jay on his own too. So if they want to keep him on his own and maybe think about putting singles gold around his waist, I'm cool with that. Maybe they move him to Raw at one point. I don't know. But at some point you can only, they already did the Hell in a Cell and the I Quit. So if he turns on him, then you got to have another series of matches between these guys, which we already saw. And why do that if you're not going to have Jay beat him, just have Roman just beat the shit out of him some more. I don't know how that's going to go, but the more he's abused, the more he's going to have to eventually stand up to that. Yeah, we talked about that. Whoever Roman drops the belt to, it's going to have to be pretty dominant, especially after the way we saw him retain at WrestleMania. So I'm thinking it's going to have to be a Brock type of deal. McIntyre owes him a loss. Lashley would be great. But I mean, that's an interesting dynamic there, man. Because when Brock comes back, you got to remember this, got to factor all this shit in. When Brock comes back, he's got to win. He's got to win. He lost, he kind of got humiliated and beaten pretty handily there on his way out. He's going to lose his Brock magic if he just loses every match he has. So Brock's got to come back, whoever he faces, title match or not, could not be. He's got to beat that person. So if it turns out to be Roman, maybe it's Brock that finally beats Roman. But I think it's got to be the other way around. I think part of this Roman transformation into the tribal chief is to beat Brock the way Brock beat him. I know Roman kind of owns that one victory over Brock, but that was like shady. Brock has always pretty much dominated Roman. So I think that needs to reverse now. So I'm not sure if I would put Brock and Roman together right away. I'd put Brock with someone else, have Brock win a few matches, make sure that we all remember how tough Brock is, and then you bring the two of them together, and then you have Roman Reigns beat him, unless Brock just comes in and does the one match job, but I just don't think that makes any sense. So I'd rather, have Brock come back, have a quick feud with somebody, win that feud, beat the hell out of that person. Maybe he's champion, maybe he's not. And then he runs into Roman Reigns down the line and Roman beats him. And that is your torch passing, or as close as it can be. You are the new Brock, Roman. I think that that's what they should do, because if Roman is this, as long as he has this persona, this is wonderful. There's nobody should be bitching about Roman Reigns. This is 1 bazillion times better than what they were doing with him when he was a babyface. So to complain about this is just to hate Roman Reigns for no other reason. This is all pretty good. So I think now they're in a position that if they want to make him the top star in the company, they're actually doing it the right way. He's got a good persona now. He's got, he's got a great attitude, and it's more enjoyable. It's more believable. And it's just not so silly and cheesy and babyfacey and superhero-y and, gross. It's done right. So there's money. There's money in the Brock match. Timing is everything, though. That's what it's all about. I don't think Ali's getting a main event push. I love Ali. I think the guy should have championship gold around his waist at this very moment. But what do I want and what WWE does are two completely different things. But Jay's earned it, much like Sheamus. Sheamus worked his balls off all year. They rewarded him with a championship victory at WrestleMania. Jay needs something like that too. He's super good. Dude is good and can work, and he's been wrestling with everybody. He's taken on Edge, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, everybody. He's always fighting Roman's battles. Yeah, Big E to dethrone Roman, perhaps. Perhaps. I still think Roman needs that one more boost. He's got that big win at WrestleMania. I just think a victory, a good, definitive, decisive victory over an arch rival like Brock, with Paul Heyman in the middle, kind of standing there not knowing what to do. Like Bobby Heenan, I know it's a crazy reference, Bobby Heenan in the Haku Harley race match. He just stood there, waited for the winner, and then just went with the winner when they battled for the crown or whatever. So, you know, it could kind of be like that. And Heyman's going to, you know, try to stand by each guy, but he's a businessman and he's going to have to go with the winner here. And then he kind of steps over. Did you ever see the movie Great White Hype with Samuel L. Jackson? And he got Damon Wayans and the dude fighting, and one guy gets knocked out and he just steps right over his body and goes right onto the next guy. So I think it'll be something like that for a Paul Heyman. And that can be, you know, that can be kind of your symbolic torch passing, you know, from one dominant, seemingly unbeatable guy to another, which they haven't been able to pull off since Brock. They had a chance with Strowman, fucked it up. They got another chance with Roman here, now that he's this crazy intense heel. So anyway, we will see. Dethrone Apollo. Let's see what kind of a run Apollo can have. He's got some big bad backup with him now, so I think Apollo, with a guy that size backing him up, having a month-long title run would be a little bit silly. I think you got to keep that strap on Apollo for a little bit. And, you know, at least into the summer. So we'll see how long that goes. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here now because I really want to watch that Austin A&E documentary. So I appreciate you guys being with me again tonight for this very lackluster Monday Night Raw review. Like I said, the next time I am scheduled to be up here is this Saturday for the Winged Eagle podcast. But if anything crazy happens, I do have some time on Wednesday. I could come up here with a news brief if we have any more releases or any sort of bad news, anything like that. You might see me midweek. Otherwise, I will just catch you guys on Saturday. So thanks for being here tonight. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.